three elements. So one is hand on heart, which for thousands of years has been trust, sincerity, openness, honesty, and justice. So everybody knows instinctively or learn why that works. Secondly, learning forward, making yourself smaller means you're not threatening. So we're using basic biology here, appealing to the limbic brain. That's the ancient part of the brain back here. Maintaining eye contact means that I'm not submissive to you, but also I'm not aggressive, and smiling with teeth visible. That's the important thing. I see your teeth. This is primate behavior that the limbic system, the ancient part of the brain, responds to, showing that we are submissive. Now, we're the only land animal that shows us teeth that doesn't bite next, like a dog smiles at you. Carol, you're in big trouble. So by putting those three together, people, without even realizing why, they just say, I like that. That's because it's appealing to the ancient limbic system, where they're meeting a new person and their brain is saying, the ancient brain back here is saying, will this person be aggressive or submissive? I'm using those signals. You are showing that I am not aggressive, I am in fact friendly.
Hi, it's journalist Caroline Stephen. Today on Talking Trading, we have internationally acclaimed body language experts, Barbara and Allan Pease. Allan is known worldwide as Mr. Body Language, and Allan and Barbara have consulted to royalty, rock stars and prime ministers. Their clients, amongst many, many others, have included Princess Anne and Vladimir Putin. Well, they're at it again. This time they have a prediction for a new global greeting. As COVID-19 has changed the world, the way we greet each other may have changed forever. With handshaking, hugging and kissing on the cheek now out the window, how do we greet people to make them feel connected, welcomed and accepted? Well, Allan and Barbara have now devised the Heart Hello, and we go through it in today's show. We also look at the origins of the traditional handshake, which is fascinating. And also Barbara looks at how to build rapport over Zoom and video calls, which is how most of us are spending our time these days. But first, let's hear Louise Bedford in her mindpower segment on the one thing that you should never do when you're trading. And then we'll go to Barbara and Allan.
Some of my traders have given me the honour of watching them trade, place a trade, put an order into the market. And there is one thing that I want to warn you about, one thing that you should never do while trading. I've noticed that the best traders, when they're placing trades, are in their moment of flow. They are breathing easily, they are focused, yet also relaxed. Yet traders who are struggling, the one thing that they all do is as they're placing their order, they hold their breath. I like to talk about it as being a form of trading apnea. If you're holding your breath while you trade, you're depriving your brain of vital oxygen. Your body is going into a fight or flight situation, which is blocking out triggers and signals that perhaps you would actually realize if you were more relaxed. Watch your body language as you trade. Make sure you're sitting upright, nothing slumped, and you do have that carved out niche of time where you can focus. If you've got people in the background trying to talk to you, trying to distract you, not only will you be more likely to make a mistake, you're more likely to strike out with those that you care for. I've personally done this. My husband interrupted me one time. It was quite a while ago, and I was putting on a trade. He interrupted me, and then I snapped at him like a banshee. I could not believe the depth of anger that I felt. Now, not only did that do nothing for our relationship, if our relationship was based where trading had become something where it was more of an interference than something that was more of a livelihood, that could be the one nail in the coffin where my spouse could have gone, no more, I'm sick of it. So please do be aware of your surroundings and the way that you are actually reacting to the screen. If, when you think of trading, you are already a tense bundle of nerves, that will do nothing for your overall results. The worst thing that you can do as you place your trades today is to suffer from trading apnea. Breathe, relax, focus, and you'll be one step closer towards living the trader's life. The Trading Game Mentor Program is a 6-month repeat for free course. You'll become a superb trader across every time frame, with every instrument. Chris Tate and I give you our personal secrets and tricks so that you can develop the fabulous lifestyle where you call the shots. If you want to get the results, the lifetime support, and a warm, caring trading community, then you need to register for priority notification. Go to tradinggame.com.au/priority. We're getting ready to release a whole batch of free trading resources, and you'll get advanced notice about when we're running our very next mentor program so that you can be number one on the list. That website again, tradinggame.com.au/priority.
COVID-19 has changed the world. We are conducting business differently, and the way we socially interact is changing. In fact, the way we greet each other may have changed forever. Today, we're talking to the legendary best-selling body language experts, Barbara and Allan Pease. Hello and welcome.
Hi,
Hi,
Carolyn. Great to see you.
You know, I went to greet a girlfriend the other day and I went to give her a hug. I wasn't thinking. She jumped back like a leopard. Barbara and Allan, how do we now greet each other to say hello but still make people feel accepted and welcome?
Well, that is a real problem because through habit of, say, shaking hands and hugging, the normal rituals we do, suddenly we can't do them. But your compulsion with friends and people you like or people you want to impress is still to hug. Like we had a couple of tradespeople here yesterday, 2 tradesmen, 2 men, and both of them put their hand out for a handshake. Now, what do? Do you say no, you germy mongrel, straight away, which is pretty much what you're saying when you do that. And it's awkward and it's embarrassing. So we decided to come up with something, with a greeting that everybody could use. It didn't make people feel awkward. In fact, it made them laugh, so that your opening when you meet people for the first or subsequent time is that they're laughing and they feel relieved because, look, the reality is everybody watching this podcast, including us, is feeling tense and awkward when we meet someone. And you want to see how this works?
Love to.
3 parts. Okay, the first
So we
part,
created it and it's called the heart hello. So it's putting your hand on your heart. So it's coming from your heart.
what's your heart doing up there?
It's the smile. So it has to have the smile. Your eyes need to keep connected with the person. And then it's a very slight bow. So it's hi.
Leaning forward. There's
Not a Japanese bow, just a very slight bow.
With the bow,
smile.
you don't, I mean, most bows in the world, a bow is a submissive signal because you're making yourself smaller than the other person. And the yes gesture that we use is, in fact, that's where its origin comes. It's a stunted bow. We make ourselves smaller. Taking a hat, tipping our hat and taking our hat off is to make ourselves smaller. These are submission signals. So when you lean forward, you keep your eyes in contact because if you're looking down, it becomes a complete submission signal, which you don't want. But you want to make the connection. So you're making the connection. And as you smile, they've got to be able to see your teeth. Show me your teeth. Yeah.
Nice. Lovely.
They can't see your teeth and they don't take it as to see it.
Because the reason why we created it is we were watching prime ministers all over the world doing elbow taps.
Oh, that's wrong.
And the first thing you're taught when you sneeze now is to sneeze into your elbow.
Yeah, have a couple of
So
these.
now we're sneezing here and then we're touching. So we found that. I was like, I'm not doing that. And then a couple of people were going, give me a fist pump. I'm sorry, there's still germs.
10%
on
germ
your
transmission with a fist
hand.
pump. Yeah.
And what was the other? Foot taps. If women have got high shoes, and I've watched them trying to tap each other with their feet, I'm like, is this like a dance?
It's like a
Are we
bad version of
dancing?
river dance. Yeah.
Yeah. So I said to Allan, we've got to come up with something that's, you know, it's from the heart. I want to say hello. I want to connect with you with my eyes, and I'm going to show you my teeth because I'm actually happy to see you.
And I'm
so
friendly.
that's where we came up with this. And so when we are meeting someone, we actually in advance put our hand up here and
As you approach.
smile. Hi, how are you? And if someone's still got their hand out, we just go,
just copy me.
this
Just
is how
copy
we
this.
greet. Hi, and then
Hand
they
on your
go,
heart, Louise.
oh, I never thought of that. That's a great way of doing it, because you're connecting with the person and you're making them feel special without touching their hands or touching their elbows. So
And when you think about it, I mean, elbow touching and fist bumping and foot tapping and all these other alternatives, basically everybody feels awkward. And most women think they're stupid.
That's what I was going to say. It's so masculine. Like,
Stupid.
get off my
It
way.
is.
Well, it was invented by men. So, and of course, when you're copying into your snooze, not only offering them a bucket full of this stuff, but you're breaking social distancing.
absolutely, none of it made sense to us, whereas ours made sense.
Well, there are three elements. So one is hand on heart, which for thousands of years has been trust, sincerity, openness, honesty, and justice. So everybody knows instinctively or learn why that works. Secondly, learning forward, making yourself smaller means you're not threatening. So we're using basic biology here, appealing to the limbic brain. That's the ancient part of the brain back here. Maintaining eye contact means that I'm not submissive to you, but also I'm not aggressive, and smiling with teeth visible. That's the important thing. I see your teeth. This is primate behavior that the limbic system, the ancient part of the brain, responds to, showing that we are submissive. Now, we're the only land animal that shows us teeth that doesn't bite next, like a dog smiles at you. Carol, you're in big trouble. So by putting those three together, people, without even realizing why, they just say, I like that. That's because it's appealing to the ancient limbic system, where they're meeting a new person and their brain is saying, the ancient brain back here is saying, will this person be aggressive or submissive? I'm using those signals. You are showing that I am not aggressive, I am in fact friendly.
What are the origins of the handshake? Because to me, that always felt so masculine. When I did it in business, it felt slightly ridiculous. Did you feel that, Barb?
Oh, I do. And also the way that different men handshake or women handshake. So you get people that are crushing your hands and you've got rings on and you're still trying to be professional and thinking,
Take that, honey.
oh my goodness. Or the double handshaker, which a lot of guys do to women, which is condescending, which
Pull the
is
sheet
like,
up.
I am going to control you. And they don't feel that women understand that that's what they're doing. So you get a bad feel about it. So this handshake has a lot of meaning, especially for women who are picking up all the cues. So yes, it's definitely but you can go into the history.
Well, if you go back in history and see where it came from, it goes back at least 2,000 years that we know of, because it's painted on Roman vases. In fact, it goes back into statues and stone art back 4,000 years, but 2,000 years ago is where it became popular in the Roman army. So it's done between the leaders, who are always men. There's no women as leaders. And when they'd meet, they'd go on one knee in front of each other, and they do almost like, give us your hand here, darling. It's almost like the original arm wrestle. And so the idea was to give the same strength to receive. So if his arm was stronger, his hand would be on top. And that was where the expression the upper hand comes from. It's from the Roman army. Wow. And you didn't want to be submissive to this other guy, because it means if he had the stronger arm, his troops got the first crack at the food and the wine, the dancing, and my guys had to wait their turn. So the idea was to not give in, keep a nice firm shake, look them right in the eye and don't break, which is the origin of British handshaking. And my dad taught me this as a kid from the country, and most older guys who certainly raised in the country probably got the same instruction. Give a nice firm handshake, son, makes it a bit stronger. Now look them right in the eye, which is Roman, and doesn't necessarily apply to a racially diverse country like Australia, where we've got at least a quarter of the people here have some type of Asian origin, where handshaking just never happened. It was always body lowering or in a mask or a heart cover. And so it goes back to that period, and we've been doing it like this, being passed down from family to family for 2,000 years, but it only became popular with women at the start of last century, because prior to that, the English book of etiquette said, you never offer your hand to a lady until she offers first. And have you heard that before?
No, I hadn't.
I
like
it's pretty older women especially know that one, because they were taught that by their mother. You never offer your hand to a lady unless she offers first. That comes from the 1820s book of etiquette in Britain. But in the 1820s, women didn't own property, couldn't have any rights, they couldn't vote. You know, in fact, they were technically property. So waiting for a man to offer you your hand in business, you're putting yourself in a big one-down position, which you don't want to be. So to grab equality with any male that you meet, with any person, is to keep the palm straight. So you're not being aggressive. You're also not being submissive. You're only going to be submissive, Carol, if there's an apology. Like, I'm really sorry about what happened. I won't let it happen again, as opposed to, I'm really sorry about what happened. But obviously, I'm not sorry now. That way, I am sorry. That way, I'm not, because I'm dominating. So keep the palm straight and give the same pressure you receive if you are using a handshake, even though COVID is changing things. And
I don't think it'll come back.
Well, I think it'll continue, but it won't come back like it was. It won't, because first of all, one of the things that's come out of this that we've discovered, that women are now saying they never liked it anyway. No, it's not just you.
Definitely not. And it's because of the pressure is either too soft, which comes across that person is wimpy. It's too hard that they're trying to dominate and they're going to win whatever they think they're going to win from women, or the double hander, which again is confining us. So women have never felt comfortable. And I remember probably 20 years ago when Allan and I were at seminars, they would shake Allan's hand and then go, hello. To me. And I was like,
in Europe.
oh, okay.
So you don't count.
I don't count. I am just the handbag.
Yeah, so Bart developed a strategy of reaching early, which if you are going to do handshaking when it becomes Zoom free, you've got to give notice. Give notice of what you intend to do to greet. And the same with the heart hello. As you're walking towards someone, don't walk up to them and just start doing it because they don't know what's going on. Start doing it as you approach. Just if the hand comes out, say, just copy me. And then you explain, well, it's a hand on the heart, which is traditional, teeth visible, which is primate signal, makes people feel, and eye contact means that we're connected. And people get intrigued by this and they laugh and the pressure's off. That's the important thing. So that first meeting, which is probably associated with a bit of tension with a new person, especially if you're trying to make a business or do something, trying to do a deal in business, it takes that pressure away and people do feel relaxed. And they remember the first time they met you that it was quite a relaxing
time. You taught them
time.
something.
So it's not just social with friends. This is the business thing as well.
Absolutely. I don't want to shake anyone's hand.
The older males will still stick the hand out.
I had a guy chasing me. He put his hand out. He's copying me. He was like, no, I want to shake hand.
She's running down through with a hand on the heart.
We have to be safe. If you think about what's happened with COVID, the amount of infections have gone down because we are so conscious about when we sneeze, washing hands, not going out when we're sick. Whereas before we were touching people, sneezing in the air. You know, like we've become really. In fact, it was quite brave
to have the flu and go to work. Oh, I've got the flu, but I'm going to soldier on, which was a terrible misjudgment.
Now, the three of us are talking on Zoom. You've got your gym in the background and the rainforest behind the gym. How can we build rapport over Zoom and video calls, which are just going to be the norm now?
Well,
yeah. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, the first thing is people make a mistake by leaning back because they've got a comfy chair. So they'll sit back and they'll talk, which gives the other person.
Feels like we're about 4 metres apart, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, you know,
You're a long way away from us, and
I'm not really interested in what you have to say. I'm just going to stay back here because I'm comfortable.
If you don't like people, what they're saying, we stand back. We stand in, leaning close to people who are interesting and we like. But on Zoom, if you're sitting back, it gives the impression that you're 3-4 metres away. So suddenly people don't feel this connection with you, whereas you lean forward like this.
So how do you feel if I'm leaning back here and talking to you?
I said, clearly I'm now interested and she's not.
Yeah, I think you're thinking about dinner, Barb.
Maybe lunch.
Right, so are you putting her into a female stereotypical role? Yes, go and make me some lunch.
So again, it's leaning in and being interested, using all open body language. So if you're sitting there with your arms crossed and leaning back and no teeth showing and deadpan eyes, it's pretty obvious that this is of no interest. You're not even listening to the person. You're not taking any. Whereas if I lean in and I'm looking at you, I'm using my eyes and I'm connecting with you. So you feel like
back,
you're.
You see her lean back then?
I did.
Come in a bit close.
So even we're not connected, we're not in the same room, but we have a connection because I'm talking to you. I'm being sincere. I've got my body language all open. I'm not crossing myself and my eyes are alive. Oh, this is really good. I'm listening to you. So Zoom, you have to be very aware of your body language and your face, especially your face.
Well, the interesting thing about also leaning in and leaning it back, you can use this to control the conversation. So you're not cutting people off. So when you speak, I'll lean in like this. And if I heard enough or I want to make a comment, I can just sit back. And after I've done that a few times, you get a feeling, oh, he's going to speak. So that way I can control how long you're likely to speak. Or if I want to speak and I'm back here, I'll lean forward, which tells you I'm going to speak, which is what you do in real life. So there are things in real life you can do on Zoom, but there are things you can't do. So for example, right now with a screen, you can do something you cannot do face to face. You know what that is? You can stare at the person. You can stare at their face. We can look at what's going on. We can look at the hair, look at the teeth. We can analyse it, which you can't do face-to-face because face-to-face, certainly in Western European countries, in capital cities, we meet gaze 2/3 of the time. We look away 1/3. Back 2/3, away we break for 1/3. That makes people feel comfortable in the social setting. But on Zoom, you can keep looking and looking. Now, that means that if somebody's lying on screen, you're more likely to be able to get more information to catch them out, because you can see eyebrow movements, you can see nostril flare, you can see other minor things that you might miss face-to-face in a live situation where there's other things happening around you. So there are some advantages to doing this.
Barbara, are you extra careful with your makeup on Zoom?
She's extra careful with mine.
Not really. I think it just has to be, you can't overdo your makeup on Zoom. Mine's very light. It just takes away the blemishes, and you need to be natural. And with your clothing, again, I always wear something very sort of neutral, and the bling or the burst of colour is always a scarf. So that, and my earrings are always elegant, you know, not the big, but quite elegant. So again, you don't want the focus to be, if you're looking at me, I don't want you looking at my earrings, or you know, that I've got bright blue eyeshadow on and you're saying, why is Barbara Pease wearing that eyeshadow? I want you to look at me and say, oh, she's naturally together, she looks good. Or, you know, you just don't overdo it on Zoom. I know some people say you should, but be natural.
You know where people make a serious mistake with any sort of a broadcast interview or face-to-face like this is, and you see it on TV every night, is the background. Now, we were watching the other night on television, they had a politician somewhere was being interviewed about something, and all the lights were on behind this man, and so his face was, you know, quite dark. We couldn't read expressions, and he was in a bedroom or somewhere, and suddenly a door opened, and it was a toilet door, and a little kid with his pants down, aged about 4, down around his knees, came running past this guy on television. And the whole audience, but this guy was totally unaware that there's a naked kid just run behind him. So you've got to make sure that you know what's behind. Now, the most popular one at the moment that you'll see broadcast is a bookshelf. So behind somebody, there's a bookcase with books, which implies some sort of wisdom, even though we don't read books much anymore. Certainly younger generations don't. So you've got to look at what is behind you. Now, we've got 2 green screen rooms here that we use occasionally for broadcast as well. Today we're sitting in a gym in a rainforest, which is quite a calm, green, relaxing setting, and we really like it up here.
We love it. This is
really good.
This is our special getaway part of our home.
But it's not a distracting one, and it's green, so you might get the occasional flock of cockatoos, which we had the other day out there packing at the front door, magpies coming for breakfast, but better than a 4-year-old kid with his pants down around his ankles. So think about what's behind you is what I mean. We sit outside on the deck on a sunny day like this. We'll come up here because this is a glass room and there's plenty of light in it.
Yeah.
Other days we might sit on a deck outside. Sometimes if it's night time, broadcasting to America, for example, or England, where it's going to be night time, early morning, you can use a green room. And a green room to set that up is might cost you $300 to get an umbrella green screen behind you, a couple of lights, and away you go. Someone said this morning, oh, you're so lucky. He said, no luck involved here. This is intentional. We've decided what we're going to do without working out how we're going to do it, and we just go ahead and do it. And that's really the secret, is decide what you're going to do and don't work out how you're going to do it. But you start thinking about, how would I do this? And then it's never going to happen.
We might get to that, but can I just ask Barb about dealing with negative people, because we all do, and you're such a font of sunshine, but you've leased 10 properties directly recently by the COVID-19 market.
Yeah, I think I must have it.
How did you do that?
It was really interesting part, because COVID had hit and we had 10 buildings, 10 residential that were empty, and I basically employed 2 real estate agents, or 3 actually, and gave them the listing, and they had realestate.com, so they were advertising on that, which I couldn't. And I said to them, we have to do this, and they were very depressed. Their market had been taken away. But for me, I decided what I needed to do.
They gave you the reason why you couldn't do it.
Yeah, I was going to do it with or without their help. So I had a policy. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to lease the 10 of these. I don't know how I'm going to do it. In the end, I used Facebook. I just put Facebook. And I met so many new and interesting people. And I actually got to choose amazing people that are now, we've got, you know, the 10
buildings
are fully filled. And I just was always positive, because to me, when someone is not right, or it's not right for them and it's not right for us, that's just a numbers game for me. So it's like, tick, okay, that's not right. Where's the next person? So for me, it was the challenge of seeing as many people as I could and finding that right one, and checking them straight into the building. So that's what we did.
Well, the main key though, what you did though, what Barb did is she made the decision, this is what I will do. Now, we're not real estate agents, but we build buildings and develop buildings, and this one had these tendencies in it. And the agent said, oh, things are tough, the COVID's this, and then there's nobody ringing the phones, and they were looking for what they didn't have. And so I got to the point where when they weren't getting it, Barbara said, I am going to rent these buildings. And one agent said, how? She said, I don't know how. How is not even relevant. This is what I'm going to do. And that's what you've got to do with everything in your life. Decide, this is what I'm going to do. Now, people decide to talk you out of it, say it can't be done. Stop telling them. Don't tell them anymore. And the worst offender is normally your family. Oh, what do you want to do that for? You're changing your job and going and living in Africa. No, well, no, if that's what you want to do, you make the decision. That's what I'll do. But you don't think about how. This is the secret of our book, The Answer, which I know you read. And the answer you don't think about. The minute you think, well, how would I do it? How would I raise the money for this project? How would I get that job? How would I go and live in Africa or whatever it is you want to do? You start thinking about how, that's the end. It's over. Just think about what you're going to do. So I'm going to do this, full stop, end of story, over now, no more discussion. And suddenly the RAS, the part of your brain, will look around and show you how to do it. And that's what happened to Barb. It's on her Facebook. And she said, I'm doing Facebook. It's going really well.
Everyone said, you can't do that. I said, yes, I can.
Facebook, you're going to get
I'm
all
going to
the
do
loonies.
it. I'm just going to do it. And I spoke to people and I actually showed them the building and the houses, and it was fun for me because you've got to remember our business overnight shut down.
It's gone.
No
Seminars.
travel, book sales, no tours, nothing. Commercial real estate that we owned, no one paid. No one.
Oh, yes.
So all
our
of a
music
sudden,
business, we couldn't have people couldn't record rock and roll bands. We've got one of the biggest rock facilities here in the country, and that just stopped because in closed windows you couldn't have anybody more than one person at a time in it, so it was finished.
So I just had to sit down and say, right, overnight the business has changed. So what are we going to do? We have to change. We have to get a different direction. We have to think outside the box. So we have absolutely changed everything that we are doing in our company, and we're busier than we've ever been. Even though we're not traveling, we're so busy. We look at each other at the end of the day and say, where did that day go?
What happened?
Oh my goodness, we've achieved so much. So I'm still looking for commercial tenants because that's a little bit harder, but I don't believe that I won't get them. It's just I have to see more people and talk to more people to get them into the building.
Law of averages.
That's one of my jobs. And now we're doing e-courses, and I do counselling on the phone. So I coach people who are going through really hard times because
I saw that.
And I love it. I love it. I love listening to people and then giving them the direction that they need, because sometimes they're in a depressed state and they don't know that they're there. And they just need someone like me to say, okay, this is what you can do. Have you thought about X, Y, Z? Why don't we do this? I can do this for you. And it's just motivating them. And then all of a sudden you get these amazing emails saying, I'm so excited. I'm doing this. I've got that. I've got this contract. And it's just that they needed someone to listen and not be, I'm not involved in the COVID-19 depression. I made that decision, and other people have made the decision to be sad about it. I've made the decision that I'm going to be moving forward in a completely different direction. Some of the speakers in our industry have said, we're not getting involved in any difference. We're going to wait till it opens up. And our attitude is we have to change. We have to change and be different, because I think COVID's going to be around for a long time. And I don't think we'll be, our biggest markets are Russia, America,
3 months
England.
here we live in Russia. It's finished.
We can't go there.
Well, the thing about COVID, about anything where people get depressed, because the pandemic hit virtually overnight, and it hit most people, and a lot of people, like in our business, were completely stopped. Absolutely stopped. Nothing. In fact, we have a negative situation because we had to repay some of our clients who booked seminars who couldn't go ahead and do them. So we actually have a negative situation. But what causes depression in most people in a pandemic or in any change in society is when they lose what they know, they get depressed about what they've lost, and they're thinking about what they don't have.
Yeah,
and usually their big strategy in their mind, they're thinking, well, I'll wait till it comes back. Now, the thing about the pandemic, it's changed everybody. It's given us opportunities that we never thought about. Like we can do what we're doing now. Yeah. We can have an online talk, and it works really, really well. But most people are thinking about what they've lost, what they haven't got. And so what you've got to do is acknowledge that the past is gone. It may not come back. If it does come back, it'll
It'll
be
be
different
different.
it'll be different when it comes back. Meanwhile, let's make a decision about what we can do and decide what you can do and what you do want. Don't think about how you're going to do it. You think about how you'll go back to what you've lost and how you did it then. That's all changed.
It's
Think
exciting.
about what you're going to do, and it is damning. You wake up and
It's
go,
really
"Holy
exciting.
cow! What am I going to do today? There's so much on."
Yeah.
And that's all for today's show. Stay tuned next week to hear more from Allan and Barbara Pease and how they built up their empire. I'm Caroline Stephen. Have a good week trading. Take care. Stay well in this environment. As always, if you like this show, please be sure to tell a friend. This is super important because word of mouth is the most powerful way that people can get in touch with us. You can also subscribe on Apple Podcast and make sure you give us a big fat 5-star review because it helps people find us. You'll also notice that Talking Trading doesn't use sponsors and barely advertisers. This is because Chris Tate and Louise Bedford fund this show from tradinggame.com.au. If you'd like to get Louise's 5-part free e-course, register at tradinggame.com.au. So until next week, happy trading. The views represented on Talking Trading are general in nature and do not take into account your objectives, financial situation or needs. Before acting on any of the information, consider its appropriateness in regards to your own situation.